Are you intimidated by the thought of accumulating your first $1,000,000? When starting from nothing, it can seem nearly impossible to reach the $1,000,000 threshold, never mind exceed that and achieve the following million. You might have heard the saying, the first million is the hardest, but is there any truth to this? There are actually quite a few reasons that this saying is true, and you'd be happy to hear that once you become a millionaire, it's inevitable that you reach the second, third, and fourth shortly thereafter. Take a look at the reasons that support this theory. Make sure to stay to the end because you're going to be amazed at the math showing you how quickly $1,000,000 will multiply. My name is Chris, and I help teach people about money, personal finance, and investing. If you want to become financially free and not have to worry about money, make sure to subscribe to the channel and like the video if you find it helpful. It's been said that personal finance is 90% behavior and 10% knowledge, and getting the behavior portion ironed out takes some practice. One of the reasons it takes time to get off the ground when it comes to building wealth is that people don't know how to handle money. They don't know how to save, they don't know how to spend it wisely, and they don't know how to grow it. People remain poor partly due to the fact that they have poor financial habits, and breaking them takes time and practice. Millionaires, on the other hand, know how to handle money. They know how to save, and they know how to invest. They might be great with money now, but surely it wasn't always the case, and it took them time to figure things out too. The excellent spending and saving habits they developed continue to benefit them after they cross the millionaire threshold. They're dedicated, responsible, and they know the value of a dollar. Once you develop good habits with money, you begin to make great strides. When you're first starting to save and invest, you're probably fearful of the possibility of losing money. What if the stock market goes down? What if real estate prices soften? What if I buy at the top of the market? The possibility of losing money can be crippling when it's basically all you have. These are understandable concerns because you have almost no cushion when compared to someone who has already been in the market for a very long time. They're not concerned if the market drops 50% because they've already seen exponential growth. Wealthy people are less fearful because they have a large safety net which allows them to be more aggressive with their investment choices. They can put their money into something with higher risk and higher reward if they want to. Even if they lose money, they're probably still going to be able to pay their bills. Someone with $5,000 or $10,000 doesn't want a chance losing it because it takes many months or even years to save up when starting with nothing. Of course, these people are still going to be wise with their investments and emphasize risk and reward. Millionaires are experienced when it comes to investing, so they have a pretty good grasp on how to preserve their capital as well as increase it. For example, they're not going to put their life savings into a single stock that someone told them to buy, and they're not going to pile everything into cryptocurrency. They want to continue to grow their capital, so they're going to put the majority of their money in proven investments that have a track record of profitability, not something speculative. Real estate, broad market index funds and ETFs, in addition to businesses in which they're well-versed, are popular investments among the wealthy, and they're very careful when it comes to using leverage. They might still put money into riskier assets, but they're only going to limit that to a very small percentage of their overall portfolio. You'd be right to assume that most millionaires have no bad debt or loans that don't make them money. They've paid most of their debts off, so their income is freed up. They're no longer sending payments to the bank month after month to pay for depreciating assets that they never should have bought, such as vehicles beyond their budget. If they do have a loan on a car or something, they've decided it's worth utilizing low-interest debt so they can invest into assets that will provide them greater returns than the cost of the debt. Alternatively, they're paying themselves money so they can earn interest on it instead of the bank. In addition to being debt-free, or at least free of bad debt, wealthy people often use low-interest debt to their advantage to buy income-producing assets that will far exceed the interest they're paying. This could be financing investment properties that provide a healthy return on investment. Before reaching the first million, most people are focusing on other obligations, such as paying down student loans, clearing up credit card debt, and other things that don't necessarily have a big influence on their net worth. Banks love to lend money to people who know how to handle it. Lending to a qualified borrower means the bank is likely to get its money back in addition to some profit. If you're already wealthy, You'll find it easier to borrow money for many things, especially purchases that are going to provide you with a return on your investment. Millionaires have a much easier time borrowing money to purchase a business because they have the assets to fall back on in the event the business fails, and they have the funds needed for a down payment. It's also much easier to borrow money for real estate investments that can further increase net worth. A millionaire has a much better chance of financing a multi-unit apartment building that can substantially increase their net worth. This access to capital, in addition to the knowledge of how to grow it, makes for incredible opportunity. Those with little to nothing saved are going to find it challenging to get a bank to lend them money for either of these things. As you become wealthier, the funds you continue adding to your investments are almost meaningless, but the growth accelerates at an incredible pace, and the annual returns are much higher than you earn from working. When you first began investing, your account probably didn't even budge unless you were piling money into it month after month, and even then, it probably seemed like it barely grew over the course of 1 year. Take, for example, a $50,000 investment portfolio, which might grow $5,000 in an average year. Compare that to a $500,000 portfolio, which could grow an average of $50,000 in 1 year. Further, a $1 million portfolio might grow an average of $100,000 per year. How does that $100,000 of growth in 1 year compare to how much you can personally save? When your account is already large, the growth will be almost entirely due to interest, and only a tiny portion will be from your contributions. It makes very little difference whether you continue to let the money compound on its own or if you continue to add to it. Of course, compound interest is the main factor that makes the first million the slowest, and the subsequent millions come much faster, but this isn't possible without developing excellent money behaviors, knowing how to balance risk and reward, and knowing how to invest wisely. Once you accumulate $1 million in your investment portfolio, you could sit back, relax, and not contribute another penny to it, and it would grow very quickly. If it were invested in the S&P 500, earning an average rate of return of about 10%, it would grow to $2 million in 7 years. After 4 more years, it would be worth about $3 million. In about 3 additional years, it would have grown to a whopping $4 million. Without adding another dollar, it grew from $1 million to $4 million in about 14 years. For comparison, it would take between 29 and 30 years for someone starting with nothing, investing $500 per month, earning a 10% annual return to accumulate $1 million. You can really see how powerful the snowball effect can be. The power of compound interest is incredibly apparent once you have an established nest egg, and you'll be amazed at how fast your money grows. If it seems like you're never going to be able to reach your first million, never mind your second or third, remember that building wealth gets easier and easier. Progress starts out at a snail's pace, but as you accumulate more money, you're going to be pleasantly surprised at how things accelerate.